All right, here we are. You're all suited up and ready to go out for tonight, and you're in your van and you're about to leave. What do I want to be in your head as you leave? First of all, you're going to be out cleaning 2 jobs. Do you have a couple of shirts? Can you put on some dry clothes after the first job? Um, do you have some snacks? Do you have some water? I do not want you grabbing anything out of the restaurant besides their water for your pressure washer. I don't want you taking cups. I don't want you getting into their drinks or anything like that. So, do you have what you need? Your night, to look professional, a couple of shirts, what have you, some snacks. Next, I hope you've gotten some good sleep. Um, your life really starts to fall apart as a hood cleaner, as a human. If you don't continuously get enough sleep, let's just say it's 8 p.m. right now, and I got in at 8 a.m. this morning. Well, I would have taken a quick shower, jumped into bed, say 8:30, and my minimum used to be 5 hours. So I would look at my clock before I went to bed, and I'd say, I'm going to lay here. It doesn't matter what happens. Everything's turned off. I'm going to lay here for 5 hours. Because really, what are we doing here? I mean, this is your livelihood. So this is pretty high up there for what's important in life. And you need to protect your sleep. If anyone living with you is there, they need to appreciate or protect your sleep as well. So I wouldn't get out of bed until at least 1:30. Typically now, as I'm a little bit older, if I only got 5 hours of sleep, I'm probably going to need another nap, like a second sleep before I go out. So typically, I would have maybe 6 o'clock. I would have just said, "Hey, I'm going to go lay down 45 minutes, whatever, just to get a quick nap." It makes a big difference. Now I'm headed out. And before I get very far from home, I want to contact the people where I'm going and make sure they know I'm coming. Communication's key. So I'm going to get on the phone with them. I'm going to tell them I'm going to be out there at such and such time. Are you guys going to be ready for me? And it's like, kind of fishing. You cast in that line out there, and you're just kind of feeling out the waters, making sure they know they're going to catch it on the other end, and you're going to be received, and you're going to get there to get started. So watch the rest of this video, absorb it. This doesn't cover, specialty things. This just gives you a general, what are the wash cycles of a hood cleaning job, and the equipment that we use. Good luck. All right, hey, one thing that I want to address in this video is how I'm dressed. If you'll take a look here from top to bottom, I've got Shoes for Crew shoes that have the slip resistant tread. I've got nice dark pants, and I've got 2 rags. I typically have one that I use for clean, for just clean stuff, and then I have one for dirty stuff. I have a black shirt, a watch, and a hat. Now this is this is what I consider to look professional. Of course, gloves are common too. I just want to stress the way you look and how important it is, because it's one of the easiest things you can do to avoid complaints. See, and here's why, let me explain. And when you get to restaurants, if you look like a non-professional person, shorts look less professional, slides, in non-professional clothes, then when you're, if you run into a situation or some sort of problem, where the customer calls back and complains the next day because you left a handprint or some accident happened, if they saw you looking not professional when you got there, they're just going to assume that you weren't. And it just causes bigger problems than need. And so one way to avoid that for sure is just wear an outfit like this and keep your appearance looking professional. It'll help you immensely in the long run. All right, here is a van setup, and I want to go through all the parts of the van and all the parts of the equipment so you know what should be on your van and how to use the equipment, what it's used for. Before we get started, I just want to emphasize that your equipment is your life. It is the most essential, one of the most essential things in order to do a good job at cleaning hoods. I'm a real big stickler for having perfect equipment. I hate to get into a van or a truck that I'm using and not have something that I need in the middle of the night. So let's talk about those aspects here for a minute. Here at the shop, this van in particular was used maybe 1 or 2 nights, and it was brought back in and they swapped it out for another work van. And so I just took the equipment out and laid it out like this so I could clean it and talk about it for this video. This equipment was in pretty good shape in terms of like being clean and all accounted for. And if you're going to clean your equipment, have it set up something like this. Lay your trash cans down, lay your vacuum down. This stuff that you're looking at right here, I refer to it as your kit. So everybody has preferences for the tools they like for their kit. This is what I issue my vans, and these are the tools that I like. So I'm going to pack them up and talk about them at the same time. So I usually put all this stuff into 2 trash cans and then put it into the van. So I'm going to start with this trash can. I like to have a milk crate full of clips. The clips should be full right about to the handle, and with 1 bundle of shims, and that's all I have in this crate, and I put it down at the bottom. This next one has hand tools in it, and I have about 5 different kinds of scrapers. One of them is a 5-in-1, one of them is a 6-inch scraper, a bent scraper, and a 10-inch scraper. These 10-inch and the 6-inch scrapers will clean up a big grease mess. The other ones are for more detailed scraping. I also have a adjustable screwdriver that has both of its points, both of its ends. I have an adjustable crescent wrench, and I have a vice grip. I have a hand squeegee for the hood, drying off the hood. I have a water key, and I have a sink adapter so you can hook up to sinks. And I have a little medicine bottle that has the 3 different types of O-rings that we use. We use the garden hose O-ring. We use the pressure washer O-ring, which is the bigger 3/8 size. And then we use the 1/4-inch size for the quick connect at the end of the gun. The gun and the end of the pressure washer gun and the wand have a 1/4-inch fittings, different from the 3/8 fittings on a pressure washer hose. So that's that. I put a dolly in there for the trash can, and then I take a I'm gonna go get a bucket. I take a bucket with some Dawn soap, some stainless steel polish, and a squirt bottle. Like that. I put my 4-foot wand. You can have different nozzles that go on the end. This is a yellow tip 15-degree nozzle. I'm gonna go get a turbo nozzle. I can fix all this in editing. And then, so this is a turbo nozzle. And I put it in here along with that. All right. The next trash can, I'm going to put my vacuum in. So my wet dry vacuum, we put our hose in here at the bottom. And it fits in upside down. Pretty nice. And I put a dolly on it. Now those two trash cans are ready. Something else I did. You want to keep these pumping mechanisms oiled with WD-40. You put oil right here in the hole, so it'll keep them lubricated and the pumps last longer. You want to take good care of these pump sprayers and not step on these handles, because this plastic stuff is delicate and it can break pretty easily. But I always test these things, make sure they're working good. And then when I put them in the van, I release the pressure. I point the handle away from me and I let it go so it doesn't squirt any of this chemical, this degreaser, in my face. The way we make this chemical solution in the pump sprayers, I'm going to show you in a minute. But it's really strong. If you get it on your skin, you want to rinse it off. We carry 2 buckets on our van. One is like a mixing bucket. And when we're packing up our tools, we put the 2 buckets together to save room. And put it underneath that furniture first. I want to show you the roof bag. This is the bag that we bring to our roof. It should only have these items in it. It has a drill with a 5/16 nut driver. It has 2 chains for fan that are 7 foot long. I know it's 7 foot long because when I hold my hand up like this, it touches the ground, which indicates it's 7 foot. So I have 2 of those. That's in case I ever run into a situation where the tipping hinge is broken or not there, and I want to tip the fan anyways. I also have a rope with 2 clips. One of the clips that I bring to the roof, I put on my pocket and I use when I'm cleaning the duct. And the other clip I use to clip the hose to the gutter when I'm up on a roof, and so the hose will stay there. And then I have about 40 foot of rope, and that's so I can go up on the roof holding onto the ladder and then drop my rope to pull up any equipment that I need up there. And then I have these 5/16 sheet metal screws to fix any fan, make little minor repairs. And then sometimes you'll find a common sheet metal screw that's 3/8 in size, which is a little bit bigger. And so I have a nut driver for a 3/8 as well. And I keep those are the items I keep in my roof bag. Again, just some common things that are needed up on the roof. So once I put them in here. I'll put the roof bag up here. So another thing that we have in here is our chemical with a scoop in it, which has degreaser. We have a box of gloves. And we have two types of rags. We have just a rag to get dirty and a microfiber towel. We have some extra pressure washer hose. Come around here. We have a 4-foot ladder to take inside the restaurant. We have a squeegee for cleaning up kitchen floors. A pole with a scrubby attached to it for scrubbing out hoods from the floor. We have a sanding pole with a sander's pad on it for attaching towels to, for drying off and polishing hoods. And then I have this tool that I made for helping to clean duct work around small turns and corners. All right, you can cut. Okay, another thing is we have 2 pieces of plywood up here. Some people carry 3, but this is to put on hot cooking equipment or cover fryers in the kitchen, so we can do our work, climb up there and not get burnt. And then there's also plastic. You keep a roll of plastic. Sometimes if it's at the beginning of the week, 2 rolls of plastic tucked away right here. All right. Okay, so this is what the van looks like when it's all packed out. You know, you got your 4-foot ladder in here, your trash can with your vacuum, your trash can with your 2 milk crates that have your tools and clips. You've got your chemical injector down at the bottom on this piece of furniture, your 2 pump sprayers, next level chemical, gloves, roof bag, next level towels, microfiber and regular. Your long tools go up here. Okay, let's say you just arrived at a job and you walked around to the back of your van so that you can hook up your pressure washer. This is how you do it. You're going to have to take out your dolly and your filter soaking tub. You're going to have to hook this hose up to water. All right, so important feature, a lot of times I'll get to these vans and notice that the O-ring for the garden hoses come out. Don't let that happen. You can look in and see right here there's no connection. That means you'll have a leaky connection and you could flood things and cause problems. So just always have an O-ring in there. You shouldn't have a very leaky setup here. A little dripping is not that big of a deal, but if it's leaking profusely, it's a problem, and you need to bring things back by the shop and let's get it fixed. A feature we have set up on these vans is this connection right here, to where you can fill up your soap or use a little hose and water when you need it. You just turn this valve on and off. And then when you're done, tuck it away right there. What you have to do, the one thing that you do want to keep in mind is these valves. One of them is the valve to feed the pressure washer. You want to keep it on, and that's the on position when it's in line with the hose. And this is the off position, because this one is the little hose we use to fill up buckets, it's in the off position. That's the on position, that's the off position. So you hooked up your pressure washer and you want to take your stuff inside. So you want to take your kit out of the van. And I typically take both of the trash cans inside. Along with boards, your 4-foot ladder, Okay, so I'm back here at the back of my truck and I'm about to make some detergent, some grease cleaning solution for my pump sprayers and for the tub that I'm going to be soaking my filters in. So here we have our chemical and inside we have a scoop. So again, I like to have all of my stuff prepped before I get to the job, ideally. So ideally you would do this before you go out or before in between jobs before you get there, but this is how you do it. This is my chemical injector bucket. This is what I use. I fill it up with you know, Dawn soap and some of the same stuff that we put in our pump sprayer, and this attaches to the end of your pressure washer, and when it squirts out, it dilutes this solution and it becomes 80% water and 20% this solution. And so this is one tool that I like to use. If I'm applying soap to a hood or a fan or a duct, I also like to use this, which is a stronger degreaser. We put our sodium hydroxide in that. But it's important to pre-mix your chemical, because if you dump this sodium hydroxide directly in here, sometimes it won't dissolve well, and when you go to pump it, the straw will pick up, the siphon tube will pick up little pieces of chemical and it'll clog your pump sprayer, which is a really big pain. So what I like to do is I like to come over here to the back of my van, and I added 4 scoops to this tub, which I'm going to soak my filters in. So what I do with the filters is I put them in here, and I look at my watch. It's 10 till the hour. So I soak them for 20 minutes, and then I set my timer, and then I flip them and I soak them for 20 more minutes. And then I take them out and they'll be ready for rinsing. You know, be careful where you set your tub up. You won't want to set it up at the back of your van all the time, because you need to think about where you're going to dump it. Ideally, you want to dump it inside the restaurant in like their mop sink. You know, and if you only have a sink, then you're going to have to use a bucket like this and bail the water out and put it into a sink. You're really not supposed to dump this water solution into the parking lot, because it goes down storm drains, which goes into creeks, into the water supply. And you can actually get in trouble for doing that. So I filled this tub up at the back of my van, but if I were at a location, I probably would take it inside and fill it up at their mop sink. Unless I could, you know, wheel it in on these on this little cart. So what I do if I'm going to fill up my pump sprayer is I take this bucket and I go ahead and turn on the water. And then this is a 5-gallon bucket. These right here are 2.5 gallon pump sprayers. So one of these makes 2 of these. And so I like to use 1 scoop per pump sprayer. So if I'm making 2, I put in 2 scoops. All right. So 4 for the filter solution, 2 for the pump sprayer solution. And so if I'm adding it while the water is filling up, if I add the scoops while the water's filling up, that action, because the water is moving around as it's filling up, will help to dissolve the pump sprayer solution, or I mean the chemical, the sodium hydroxide powder. And then it's a good idea to take it from there. First of all, have a nice clean bucket. So I'm going to take this bucket and rinse it out. So I want it to be clean. I don't want anything. I don't want to be dumping anything that's dirty into the end of the pump sprayer. So in order to transfer the contents of this bucket into the chemical injector bucket, it's easier if you transfer it like this. So it goes from a big bucket to a medium bucket, and then a medium bucket with a pour spout, so you can pour it into that hole a little more carefully. All right. You want to make sure that you don't, drip that liquid onto your foot, or if it goes in your sock or something like that, make sure you take your sock off, take your shoe off, go rinse your foot off. It's a very strong soap. It's a strong base. So what neutralizes it is water, which will bring the pH down, but also acidic. So Coke or lemon juice or something like that will neutralize it too. But water will do the job of getting the chemical off of you. Don't let it sit there, because it won't stop dissolving your skin until it's rinsed off. I think that's it. All right, so up here is our tall extension ladder to go to a roof. And these ladders, I want to make sure and tell you, there's only one strap, so you got to make sure you get the ratchet strap on right. It's attached to this front part of the ladder rack, and it's attached to the back part of the ladder rack. And let me show you over here how a ratchet strap works. I've fastened those straps so that both ends, the one front end and the back end on the ladder rack, they stay permanently on there. They don't come off. So all you end up doing is just unbuckling the ratchet and pulling the strap out. And I've cut these straps so that there's only about this much hanging out once you pull the strap through, like I'm about to show you here. So the way a ratchet strap will work is you can pull this trigger on a ratchet strap and bend it in half like an elbow. You see, this is like an arm, and this would be the elbow. So on the outside of the elbow on a ratchet strap, you want to, you can adjust it a little bit. So these slots right here, there's a slot. You just stick it through that slot from the outside and then bring it back out, so that it ends up coming in the outside of the elbow and going back out the outside of the elbow. And then now you're ready to tighten it down. And then when you want to release the strap, you pull that same trigger that you pulled the first time and open it up. And when it's straight like this, you're able to pull the strap and it'll unspin, and then you can take the strap out. All right, so wanted to talk about the ladder for a minute. I take the ladder off from the back once I take off the ratchet strap. And the correct way to carry a ladder is to find the rung where the center of gravity is, typically I have my right hand about right here and my left hand about right here. And you know, the more vertical you carry a ladder, you see how well it balances. A lot of people try to carry it sideways or whatever, and it looks all awkward. It's because it's easier to carry it when it's more vertical like this. So when you have it vertical, just carry it over to the building. And if you notice, there's a wide side to the ladder and there's a narrow side. Like so, this is an extension ladder, and so the part that actually lifts slides inside of the part that stays on the ground. And so what you want to do is you just turn. I always carry the ladder from the back side. If I try to lift it up from the front side, this is what's going to happen. So when I lift the ladder, I'm carrying it like this, and I get to the edge of a building, and I turn around like this, and I put my foot on the bottom rung, and my knee is resting on this rung right here, and I keep it pretty vertical, and I pull it up from here, and you want to pull up enough ladder so that 3 rungs, ideally 3 rungs, is above the roof line. You want you don't want the ladder to be crooked at all. I come around here and I typically adjust it like this so that it's going perfectly up and down. Now I happen to know that that roof line right there is 14 feet. And what they say is for every 4 feet you go up, the ladder, the base of the ladder is supposed to be 1 foot out. So we can say this is basically 3.5 4-foot sections because it's 14 foot high. So what you want your ladder to be around 3.5 feet from the building. So what would that be? Well, from the tip of my finger to the middle of my body is about 3.5 feet. So you'd want the base of your ladder to be a little bit closer to the building. About like that. So that way the bottom of your ladder won't kick out. Like this right here, this red ladder, the feet, you see how much further the feet are out, and that makes the ladder more dangerous. So now I can safely climb. I like to have my hands free, both hands on the ladder. Okay. All right, so now you're ready to go to the roof, but we got to get our equipment up there. So one thing I like to do is I'll put my roof bag around my shoulder like that, so the back of it is on my center of gravity, my butt. And then I'll take the rope, which is attached to my pump sprayer and my pressure washer hose, and I'll just clip it to my pocket and head up the ladder. That way I've got my hands free so I can climb. Once I'm up here at the top of the roof, I can take off my roof bag and go ahead and pull up my pump sprayer and my pressure washer. I mean my pressure washer wand. Now, you'll have to turn on your pressure washer before you do this if you're working by yourself. But now that I've got it up here, I'm gonna take it off, and then I'm gonna pull my hose, all the hose that I need, up on the roof, and I'm gonna clip it with one of my clips to the gutter so that the hose won't fall back down. So now that I've got enough hose up here, I'm gonna find a gutter, or something that's up on the roof that I can clip it to. Since I don't have a gutter right here, another thing that I like to do is form a loop and then put it around like a piece of plumbing or something, and put a clip on it like that, and put the loop around the plumbing. I'm gonna do that up here. So, like for right here, for instance, I'm gonna move this ladder out of the way so you can see it. But like something like this, you can make a loop around it and clip it, and then that way your pressure washer hose won't fall back down. One of the harder things to do when you're coming off of a ladder is stepping from the roof onto the ladder. It's probably, for me, the scariest part. That's why it's good to have this 3-foot ladder up over your roof line, and then that way you can put both hands on it and swing your leg around and put it on that first rung. And then you're good. Just hold on and walk down. Okay, here, this is an example of us using our demo kitchen in our shop to teach you the principles of how to work on a hood with a hood cleaning at the inside of a kitchen. So what we've done is we brought in both of our trash cans, and I'm going to unpack them real quick just to show you everything we brought in the kitchen. We brought a pump sprayer. I like to typically have my pump sprayers ready and full of degreaser before I even get to the job. We've got our plastic. Is that causing a distracting shadow in my face or anything? All right. I've got a 4-foot ladder, and then I brought a piece of wood. Now, depending on what they have on their kitchen equipment, you might need to bring more than one piece of wood. But for this demo example, let's pretend that this washing machine right here is a fryer, and I'm going to take this piece of wood and cover the fryer with it. All right. We brought our vacuum, and I'm just gonna bring it in and set it off to the side so that we can use it to clean up at the end. And I'm gonna go up into the hood, and I'm gonna remove the filters, and I'm gonna put them in this trash can right here. But before I do that, I'm going to finish unpacking to show you what I've got here. So I've got my scrub bucket that has my scrubby, some Dawn soap, some stainless, and a squirt bottle. I've got my top crate that has my hand tools, like I showed you earlier, outside. And I've got my clips. So I'm going to go up into the hood and I'm going to remove these filters. Alright, just a little note about these filters. These are called baffle filters. These are the most common kind of grease filters that you see in the kitchen. The baffles are supposed to go vertical. Here's some of the features of a baffle filter. You see these weep holes at the bottom? You're supposed to have weep holes because the grease goes in through the filter, is caught by the filter, it runs down the filter, and then it runs out these weep holes into a tray that's inside of the hood, and then out a drain right here. And there'll be a drain cup that catches the grease. But typically, if you count the number of filters inside of a hood, and this one has 4, 4 times 2 is 8. That's how big the hood is. In most cases, that's true. This is your most common size of filter. It's 20 inches tall and 20 inches vertical. Sometimes you'll have 20 by 16. The first number always goes first. Sometimes you'll have 16 by 20. Sometimes you'll have 16 by 16. But these are 20 by 20 filters. I put them in a trash can so I can take them outside and have them soaking in a tank. Meanwhile, I want to get the hood prepped and ready. And so what I end up doing is I get my plastic and put it on the floor. I get a scraper and I count how many things I want to cover. Okay, what do I want to cover? I want to cover things like a fryer. If there's over here a salad bar or some extra cups or something that you don't want to get wet as well, you could say, okay, 2. So like 1, I want to cover the fryer. 2, I want to cover right here. Actually, I'll just cover them together with 1 piece, so that's really just 1. Let's pretend over on this side, on the other side of the hood, it had dishes, and a lot of times you'll find that they have a cook line on the opposite side. So 2, I want to cover this side. Let's pretend this side is 16 foot long as opposed to 8. Well, I would need 2 pieces. So basically what I'm trying to do is just really quickly get an idea of the number of pieces I want to cut before I cut my 1 piece for the hood. So for this scenario, I'm just going to cut 1 for here, 1 for here, and then I'm going to cut my piece for the hood. So in order to cut my 2 pieces, I just pull the plastic up to about my chest right here. That's about 4 foot. And I just score the scraper across the floor just like that. So it's just the scoring that you do. You just go right across the plastic like that, and then it'll just pull off real nicely. So that's 1, and I want to do 2. So I pull up another piece, and I do 2. And then I just usually pick them up and I set them to the side because now I want to cut my piece for the hood. And here's how I do that. I take my roll of plastic and I stand right here at the end of the hood, one end of the hood. And I lay it down and I kick it across to the other side of the hood. Okay? So now I'm on the other side of the hood. So that's approximately 8 foot of plastic. But since, think of it like making a bed. You want your sheet to go a little over on one side and a little over on the other. That's also what you want to do for the hood. You want about this much extra plastic on one side, on both sides. And so what is that, about 18 inches? So you're gonna roughly extend this 3 more feet and then cut it. So my feet right here mark the end of the hood. I pulled out about 3 more feet, and I'm going to score it and cut it. So that should be my plastic for the hood. So now I'm going to grab some clips. You know, something you can do is you can clip the clips together and keep them in bundles. You know, you figure out little fast things to make the job easier and quicker. But the plastic that we buy is 8 foot wide. It's a roll of plastic that opens up 8 foot wide. So we pulled off 4 foot and cut it. So this piece is approximately the length of a full sheet of drywall or plywood. It's roughly 4 foot 8 inches. And we're going to use that. Remember I was saying this is a fryer? The reason I mentioned fryer is because fryer is the one thing that really cannot get wet, because that fryer oil they're going to cook in the next day, and if water gets inside of it, it could boil over. It could be hazardous. It could cost them money. Oil is expensive. Cooking oil is expensive, just like every other kind of oil. So I cover the fryer. I like to put, you know, a piece of plastic, a clip on in different places just to keep the plastic in place. So I got that piece covered. And then, remember we were pretending that this side was a bunch of dishes or something else that needed covered. And so I'll go and I'll secure one end, and I'll stretch it across and secure the other end. And then that way when I'm pressure washing or pressure washing water down from the roof, if it blows over here, it won't contaminate their dishes. Okay, so now how do you wrap the hood? This is what I do. I usually put my clip bucket up here on where it's nice and handy. And I do what's called a pre-wrap first. A pre-wrap is where I take one end of the plastic
light shining more towards the wall instead of more up, if possible. Yeah.
Okay, so I do what it's called a pre-wrap. And when I pre-wrap the hood, I'll take all the plastic and put it up here. I'll get one clip and I'll come over to one side of the hood, and I have about, remember how much I have extra hanging on one side? I'll put one clip up real quick, like that, and then I'll come all the way to the other side. And I'll put up one clip as well, like that. And now that the plastic is hanging across, what I can do is I can get my scraper out according to which kind I need, and I can climb up onto the cooking equipment, and I can scrape out the hood. Sometimes this is not needed, but you always need to look and make sure, because back here it can get full of grease, and it's way better to take the grease and to scrape it out. You could even scrape it out and then just wipe it right here. Scrape it out and wipe it right here, and that grease will end up falling into this plastic, and it'll just stay right there. And it's a real easy way to just scrape out the hood. And you want to do it, you want to scrape out the hood anywhere where it's heavy. And like I said, just do like that and let it fall into the plastic. And do that all the way across the hood. Alright, and then you can come back down and finish wrapping the hood. So you've already got your plastic up for starters. So what you want to do is basically try to secure the plastic underneath here. That's best. Some people like to use shims, so they'll take some shims and tuck it up underneath here. Sometimes, just like happened right there, there's no room for shims to be tucked underneath, and so all right, ideally you want to get some clips underneath the hood right here all the way across. Four clips on an 8-foot hood is enough. And then when you get the sides, okay, so this is the extra. You notice I don't even have enough extra that it comes all the way across. A lot of people think that that's the way you need to wrap a hood. That's not, because if you do that, it creates a really thick valley that comes down to the trash can, and it won't drain the water as well. What you're better off doing is grabbing the plastic from down here a little bit lower and pulling it up, and it ends up, instead of it being a crease down the side of the plastic, it ends up being a swoop, and it'll drain into the trash can better. Okay, so I pull the plastic down like this just to see, like, you see how there's a nice swoop right here? There's nothing for the water to get caught in as it makes its way down into the trash can. And then, of course, I take the trash can. I usually push the trash can all the way against the equipment, because if you have it pulled out and you clip it up and then the water gets accumulated back here, it could tip over the trash can if nobody's watching it, the weight of the water. So I push the water all the way up against the trash can. I put the plastic in the trash can, and you can put anywhere from 2 to 4 clips on the trash can, like this side, because of how nice of a swoop that is. I'm just going to do one. This one's got a little bit of a valley coming down from that corner, so I'll put that in one, and then I'll put this in one. And by the way, if you want to pull some plastic up and put it up here, you can do that. Sometimes it helps to minimize on the spray going everywhere in the kitchen. So if you thought, oh, it'll be better to do a shield right here, that's fine. You can kind of button it up top like that, and it'll look something like this. Okay. So next will be applying some chemical to the hood. Now remember, I've already scraped all the heavy stuff off of the hood before I wrapped it. I did a pre-wrap, and then I scraped, and then I did a finish wrap. So now I just want to apply some chemical so that it'll sit on there, because I'm about to go turn on my pressure washer and start the job. So I take my pressure washer or my pump sprayer and I start spraying. Now look at the spray pattern here. You can have a spray pattern that's straight. You can twist this and get a straight spray pattern that's has a wide profile. That's a wide profile. That's a straight. I kind of like a medium. And so what I do is I typically start in the furthest corner and go all the way across and then work my way toward myself, with this side being the last, because I don't want to spray this side right here and then have my arm sitting underneath the hood while it comes dripping down my arm. I want to get the furthest stuff first, kind of adjust the nozzle so I'm applying the stream good, and I get everything wet. I start with the far stuff back. If I can get up the duct, I get up the duct, but I just spray everything far away first, and then I get it out. You know, getting closer and closer to you. So I'm getting everything back and forth, the sides. And once I feel like I have all that done well, then I can go to this and get this last. All right. Now, I'm just about ready to go to the roof, but let me make a side note. If you've got a helper here and you are going to go out and start the pressure washer and go up on the roof, one of the things the helper can do if he chooses to stay down in here is to get his 4-foot ladder ready, to get his squirt bottle, to get his, scrubby, some soap, and his bucket, and start spraying the outside of the hood and scrubbing it and wiping it off. The thing that we're responsible for when we're cleaning the hood is, of course, all the internal parts to get the grease removed. But it's also necessary that we scrub the outside of the hood and the backsplash panel all the way down to the equipment line. Okay, we don't go back down behind the equipment. We go to the equipment line. A little bit of soft soap, a little bit of scrubbing, wipe it off, follow it with some polish, wipe on the same grain as the stainless steel. Stainless steel has a grain like wood does. When you get to the stainless steel polish part, use a good dry microfiber towel. Now we're ready to go to the roof. All right, something else you can do if you're having a hard time wrapping a hood because you can't get shims underneath the hood and there's nothing at the bottom here to clip it to. Rather than fighting and trying to find something, just pull the plastic up to right here. As long as the spout is inside, and you can do things like this to make sure the plastic stays under the spout, but just clip it right here to the gutter, and you'll save time, because clip it right there and then come back And make sure you get underneath this spout as well. You just clip it like that, because then when you take the plastic down, all you have to do is just scrub from here down, and it's not a big deal. So don't get stuck if you can't wedge some plastic or get a clip underneath the hood. Alright, so I'm up here on the roof, and I got a roof bag. And this fan is a typical fan that you see. It's called an upblast fan. And this setup has a tipping hinge. The hinge is on this side. There's a stop chain on this side, and it opens up like that and rests. Now, in another video I'll show you, if you go to a fan and the tipping hinge is broken or doesn't work, there's chains in these tipping in the roof bag, because you can also tip a fan with a chain. All you really have to do is just slide the fan over onto the curb just a little bit, and then tip the fan over and use your drill and a sheet metal screw and tip it to the desired location, and then drill a hole on the side of the curb where the chain can stay hooked to that screw, and that'll tip a fan also. But if a fan has a broken tipping hinge, we want to mark that as a deficiency on our paperwork and let them know they need to fix, repair, or install a tipping hinge. So a lot of people want to know when they get up on the roof if a fan is very dirty and maybe it's Chinese grease or Indian or some sort of really sticky grease that doesn't want to come off, how long do you stay here and clean the fan? Because you could stay here all night, apply chemical, pressure wash, apply chemical and pressure wash, and it won't come off. So what I usually like to do is I go through 3 cycles, and whatever comes off, comes off. I do that for the duct, I do it for the fan, and I do it for the hood inside as well. 3 cycles and then stop. When you're up on a roof and you're trying to get a job done so you can complete it so you can go to the next job, you have to be mindful of the time. If it's 20 after the hour and I have 3 fans and 3 ducts, I would say, hey, I want to be off of the roof you know, in the next 40 minutes. So what I would do is I would say, okay, 10 minutes, 10 to 13 minutes on each fan and duct. And I just watch my watch and try to get everything done in that amount of time. But what you want to do is a lot of times, you know, you can get your fan tipped over and sprayed with chemical and do that with all of your fans before you go down and start your pressure washer. Or if you have somebody with you, they'll wait to start until you're done applying all the chemical. You don't want to let a pressure washer sit around running. Another thing to be mindful of is if there's a bunch of grease around the fan, bring your 10-inch scraper up and your 6-inch scraper up and scrape it up, and bring some little trash bags with you and scrape it off into a trash bag. Another thing, if your duct work is completely straight and you can see down into the kitchen when you look down, if there's a bunch of grease on the roof, you can scrape it up and then, you know, use your scraper to slide it off and slide it right down into the hood or the trash can. You don't want to do that if you can't see straight through, because you don't want to add grease to the duct if it's not going to go straight down. So, you know, for one cycle of pressure washing, get your pump sprayer and spray the underneath side. Make sure you stick it in here and get the undercarriage real good and all the fan blades. And then you're going to want to spray all the ductwork all the way down. Make sure you get it all wet all the way down. And then come over to this other side and spray the bowl until you get it all the way around. One thing I like to do as an option is to use my 90 and my clip, and with my nozzle pointing out to the side, go ahead and put it down here, squeeze the trigger so it starts spraying, and lower it down in one corner of the hood till it goes all the way down. And then as you come up, spin that hose from side to side, and that nozzle ends up spraying half of the duct as you come up all the way up. One of the reasons I like using a 90 for the duct is that spraying action, and that air, it's pretty violent, and it sprays directly to the duct, and it doesn't spray directly down into the kitchen. If you put this nozzle down on this end and it's spraying directly down, it causes a lot of wind action, and you can, especially, that'll make people uncomfortable, especially an owner or a manager inside the kitchen watching all this mist spray violently into the kitchen. So I like to use a 90, because it does a better job and it prevents what I just described. So when you clean half your duct, change it to this side, repeat, put your clip on your gun and lower it down all the way. And this 90, when you have the trigger pulled, it'll stay, it'll go right up into that corner, and you just keep it like that and spray it all the way down and all the way back up. If one try didn't get it all, repeat, do it 2-3 times. After 3 times, cut it off. You can also use a turbo nozzle. The reason I'm using a white tip for these demo is I don't want to, this is wood and I don't want to tear it apart. So it's actually good to use the 90 for spraying the rest of the fan too. If you hold this up against your body and pull the trigger, you can spray the fan out, and then you can also stick it in here and spray it out too. And all that action is going to spin the fan wheel, and you'll clean all the fan wheel on this side. But when you're cleaning it off to the side like this, it's not spraying back onto you and making you dirty as well. Same thing over here. You can stand off to the side and spray the bowl part of the fan this way, and it won't come back on you. Again, 3 times on either side, and that's done. If it's grease still on there afterward, we mark that up as a deficiency that they need to increase the frequency so the residue will eventually wash away. Now, on rare occasions, if you get done cleaning the hood and you put the fan back and you turn it on and you hear a vibration and a clicking that didn't happen before when you started the job, you can come back up to the fan that's making the noise using your 90, tip the fan over, and reach it deep down in there and spray the outside of these fan. The blades are actually on a wheel, and sometimes if you just clean on this side and not the other side, depending on what kind of grease it is, some of the grease can fall off on the other side or get washed off, or a chunk of it fall off, and it puts the fan wheel out of balance. And one way to put it back into balance is to take this 90 and reach it down deep into here so it's actually down into where this fan wheel housing is, and you spray the nozzle toward it and just pull the trigger, and it'll automatically spin that wheel and clean the outside of the blades, and a lot of times that will take care of the noise problem. It's a good idea when you start your job to turn the fan on all the hoods just to hear how they sound, so you make sure nothing happened while you were up there. Another thing that you want to be careful about up on the roof is sometimes you can't turn the fan off on the inside because maybe you forgot to, or another reason would be is sometimes the switch doesn't work, or you can't find the switch and the fan up on the roof is turned on. And if that happens, my extreme caution to you is, if you turn the fan off from the roof, you've got to remember to turn it back on before you go back down, because it's something that I forget to do quite often. When the fan's turned off and you do your cleaning, you know, it's very easy to just walk right back off the roof and go inside the restaurant and forget to turn it on, and then they got a big problem in the morning because they don't know how to do it and they don't know how to get up on the roof. Okay, now I've already pressure washed up on the roof. I've pressure washed the fan and the duct, and I've brought my pressure washer inside the kitchen, and I'm ready to spray the kitchen. Okay, I like to use a turbo nozzle, or you can use a yellow tip. I've used a white tip here in this video because I don't want to destroy the rubber coating that's in this demo hood. But notice on this wand, I've already used this 90 on the roof, but you can spray the stream out this way, or you can spray it out this way. For when I'm inside the hood, I like to spray in the 90-degree direction. So I take my nozzle and it's going to spray out in this direction. Okay, that's my 90 for inside here. Now what I'm trying to accomplish when I spray this first, by the way, if you've been about every minute or two, the pressure washer the trigger needs to be pulled. It doesn't have to be pulled for very long. You can just do one of these, but it needs to get fresh water inside of it, or else it's bad for the pump. But when I'm gonna spray out the hood, created So snap this on. All right, and again, I like to work in the back of the hood. This is called the plenum area, where my nozzle is right now. The plenum area is back behind where the filters go. And so you can see where the stream is pointed. It's pointed right here. But if I rest the gun right here, that will absorb the kick. And I spray back there first, and then I turn it and I point it down into this trough. And I spray down in here next. And then the last thing I like to spray with my 90 is this side right here. I can't see this right here with my eyes. I don't like to poke my head up under because I don't want that sodium hydroxide dripping on me. But I point it and I just do like that. You notice we're leaking a little bit. Not a big deal in a kitchen. Most kitchens have drains. It's not bad to get it a little bit wet. We're going to clean it all up at the end anyhow. So after I've done my 90, then I turn the plugs to the opposite position. So now I'm shooting the water straight. And again, I'm going to start working from the back in the plenum area all the way across, and then working my way out toward me all the way across. Like that. All right. On a hood like this that's 8 foot, you shouldn't be spending any more than 10 or 15 minutes spraying out the hood. You know, it shouldn't put much more water than this in the trash can at its dirtiest. If you apply, I have a 3 application rule, which means, you know, I'll use the pump sprayer, apply the chemical, spray it off with a pressure washer. If whatever's left after 3 cycles, it'll have to be hand scrubbed with a scrubby, a stainless steel scrubby, or it won't come off. These pressure washers and this chemical is the strongest application of cleaning you can do, and especially applied with a little bit of scraping and hand scrubbing. What won't come off needs to be talked with the customer about. Let's do an increase of frequency. Let's go sooner. Let's clean it with less time in between, so that we can work all this grease eventually off the hood. Okay, I'm small enough. My height, 5'8", I can fit up in these hoods really good. And what you'll typically see me do when I'm done spraying a hood is I'll release the plastic down to here. So I'll keep all the cooking equipment covered in plastic, and I'll climb up here and I'll do all my hand scrubbing. And typically what I do is I'll work from one side of the hood and scrub anything I need to. A lot of times what I use is a little cleaning bucket with me, and a towel, and I'll scrub everything I need to scrub. And I'll start on one end and I'll go all the way to the other. All of this, anything in here, and I'll scrub it, and then I'll put my scrubby down in the bucket, and then I'll get my rag, I'll wring it out, and then I'll wipe it, okay? And then I move over about 3 feet, and I do it again. And I just work my way all the way across the hood, scrubbing it and wiping it, scrubbing it and wiping it, until I get to the other end. And then when I'm on the other end, I can go back with a clean microfiber and a clean polish. And a lot of times I can even stand on the ground and just spray where I need a wipe, and wipe it down with one of these poles. And I work my way from one end to the other. And then that we didn't talk about was this. This has a release mechanism that you unscrew, and when you tighten it, it closes the teeth. Take a clean one of these, which is your scrubby, stainless steel scrubby. Close the teeth on it and scrub anywhere that you need to with this. I've got a little bit too much hanging out here. Now, one thing you want to be careful about if you're using this thing are the cables that are inside of this, behind the filters, which is the plenum area, and the cables that are inside of this conduit right here that go to the fire suppression system. This is the fire suppression tubes, but this is the trigger mechanisms that sets it off. And if you're back there scrubbing and you accidentally jerk one of these cables, you could break it and set a system off. That's one thing you want to be careful about. But this is a good tool to use to scrub out some areas that didn't come clean with a pressure washer. Okay, so the filters have been soaking for 40 minutes. 20 minutes on one side, and then you flip them, and 20 minutes on the other. And now they're ready to be sprayed. Again, I would have this tub sitting somewhere where it's easy to dump into a mop sink or bail out into a sink by bucket. But once they're clean once they've been soaked like this, one idea is to take these things while they're in the, and I have a low pressure nozzle on here, is to spray them and rinse them out, okay, while they're sitting in the tub. A lot of times after they've been soaking, they'll clean a lot easier, you know. At this point, if they still need some harder spraying, you might need to actually throw them in the mop sink and use a stronger nozzle and do it one at a time. But go through each one and spray it like that. And some people at this point, if this needs to be touched up just a little bit more, while the hood still has some plastic on it and it won't make too much of a mess, some people will put the filters up in the hood, put the plastic back into a trash can, and spray them one more time. I don't do that method very much. I like to be near a mop sink and start spraying them on the one side, pull them up, spray them on the other. And be done with them. Finger over. Okay, your cleanup tools are basically this. Now, I don't like to clean the floors until the very end, okay? But you've got two amazing tools for cleaning floors. I would start with your squeegee. Many times you don't need anything but your squeegee. And floor drains, okay? But in the event that that's not enough, you've got this vacuum, which will take care of the rest. All right, so congratulations, you have finished your job and you are making money and you're heading home or to another job to make more money. Just put these thoughts in your mind as you're pulling out. The job that you've done and the pictures that you've uploaded and the information that you've added to Service Trade will live on forever, And if there is a fire or some sort of damage to the property, that's going to be something that is a concern of mine. It's going to hit my insurance. It's going to be a big responsibility to take care of. That's on me. That's my part of my deal as being the owner. But I want you to think about, what kind of condition did you just leave that store in? Are they going to walk in the next morning and see that we've left a mess behind? They know that they have paid for a cleaning service. Does the area that we came to clean look any cleaner? The area that we worked in, is there grease left behind? Did we use their mop and not clean it out? Did we use their mop sink and not clean it out? Did we not turn off lights? Did we not shut doors? Did we not turn on or off fans? These are the kind of things that will happen the next morning, and they will wreak havoc, and there's always a price to pay. So just be careful as you are leaving, to just think for a second. Not only did you not leave your equipment behind, but did we come out and do a professional service, and does it look like a professional has been out there? Yeah, this is just a video that covers the generals, the general hood cleaning topics. We plan on making more videos that get into specifics. Thank you.